Well, hopefully everything is working today. We have a microphone to test out, and we also have a new camera. We are using the Samsung S24 Ultra. So hopefully everything is working properly, and we don't have any technical snafus like we did last week with things not connecting. So if you can hear me and everything looks proper and isn't flipped around on the screen or you can't hear or anything like that, if everything is going smooth, if you could give me a thumbs up in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. So a thumbs up in the chat, and if everything is good, you can also do a heart if you want to do that. Let me move my microphone a little bit here. It is showing on screen. So we will tilt it. There we go. Get it out of the camera. Sorry for the loud noise there. All right. Hopefully everything's running smoothly. Looks good. Hey, Dave. All right. Awesome. So Neo, thank you. And Paul, thank you very much. And we got a thumbs up. So everything's good. All right. So just to kind of let everybody know, we do have a video coming out that is going to explain the changes in cameras and phones and microphones and all that kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for that. That will be coming out early in the week, probably Tuesday. So that will be a very interesting video for you. I think you will want to watch it and so you can understand a little bit more as to what was causing all the issues for me over the last several months. Coming in loud and clear from the hospital. All right. Well, Sock, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully you are all right. Don't like hearing that people are in the hospital. So, but hey, at least you have some content to watch. Hopefully it's worth it. Anyways, so we see here early on in the comments, we see Matt Lab. He said, yeah, it was about time they go away from the same sounding IEMs and give us something else that suits bass heads. I assume he is referring to the IEM that is on the thumbnail, which is the QKZ XHBB Hades. That review will be coming soon. And I guess you could say that definitely is bass head oriented, but I don't want to go much further into that at this time. I will let the review speak for itself. All right, so any questions, comments? We can discuss anything. If you want to discuss football, especially the game today between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, who you think is going to win, and what type of game you think it'll be. We can discuss who you think might win MVP of the Super Bowl. We can discuss any of the other things regarding the game if you want. I will say this: I'm not much up on Usher. So as far as him doing his performance for the halftime show, I really am. I mean, I don't have anything against his music. I just don't really listen to it. So I'm not really familiar with a lot of his songs, but I probably will watch it just because I'm curious. I always watch the halftime shows. I really could care less about Taylor Swift being at the game. Cool that she's a football fan, but as far as anything else, that's fine. Again, it's kind of similar to Usher. I really don't follow her music a whole lot. If you want to talk about audio itself, hey, go ahead and discuss that, and I'll try to answer those questions as well. All right, let's see here. Lori, yeah, my poor Eagles, no interest in this one. I don't blame you. Yeah, your Eagles were really strong out the gate, and then they just kind of fell apart. Kind of sad to see. Sometimes teams have that issue. My Buffalo Bills had that problem in the middle of the season, and then they ran into the typical stump that they can't get over in the playoffs called the Kansas City Chiefs. Hola, unreadalas. Hola to you. Let's see. Maybe you can test the Hades during halftime. And I agree 1000% about Taylor. Might be interesting to listen to the Hades while the halftime show is going on. Might be a good fit. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything like that? While you're thinking that up, I'll give you my thought on the game. So I do think that the Chiefs have a little bit of a flawed team going into the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they're as strong as they have been in years past. I do think that they're still dangerous. They did start playing better down the end of the season. Um, Definitely on defense, they started playing better. Getting Chris Jones back really helped the defensive line. I think that some of their weaknesses are in coverage and on defense and linebackers, and also if you can contain their pass rush, you can kind of pick them apart and nickel and dime them down the field. Running game, they're a little bit susceptible to the run, a little bit, but not severely, not like they were at the beginning of the season. On offense, I think the Chiefs are more of a possession style offense now. They're not near as explosive as they used to be. If you contain their running game, you can kind of force them into the pass, and then you can kind of dictate who gets the ball, especially if you roll your coverages to cover Kelsey. They don't have the explosiveness like they used to. So I think that they're still a good team, but they're not the dominant team that they used to be. San Francisco, on the other hand, San Francisco has a quarterback that reads the field very well and protects the ball. He's not going to put it in too many dangerous spots. Brock Purdy is going to manage the game, but also at times he takes the chances when they come. As far as running game, Christian McCaffrey probably no better running back in the NFL when they're healthy, and he can dominate a game. And even when you think you have him bottled up, he can have an explosive play that just changes the game. Offensively, I think that the 49ers are more explosive, especially with Samuel and name just slipped my mind. Kittle, there we go, George Kittle, the tight end. I think that those two guys, along with McCaffrey, can really hurt a defense in multiple facets. As far as on defense, I don't think there's a better defense in the NFL than San Francisco. They have a very good front line, and then their linebackers just insanely good. Fred Warner is just a beast of a player. And then on the back end, they have good safeties and corners that can really lock down a game. And I think San Francisco can take Kansas City and just kind of like slow them down and get into a slugfest. And I think if they can do that, I think San Francisco is going to come out on top. My pick for the game is San Francisco winning the game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I don't think it's going to be a really high scoring game. I kind of see San Francisco winning something along the lines of 23 to 21, 24-21, something in that range. Maybe Kansas City doesn't even get 21. They might get 17 or 18, but it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be more than a touchdown victory, but I do see San Fran coming on top. All right, let's see, Paul. Once my Packers were knocked out, I just watched to watch, but I wish Dave or Detroit would have beat the 49ers. Can't stand that team. Yeah, absolutely. I was cheering for Detroit. I like their coach Dan Campbell, and I think he's really done an amazing job of turning a team around and getting a locker room to believe in the philosophies and then to go and produce it on the field. Unfortunately, inexperience in the playoffs seemed to kind of come out in that game against the 49ers, and also a little bit of depth of the the roster. San Francisco is very deep, and I think that played a part also as well in that game. But I think Detroit's going to be around for a few years for sure. As far as the Packers are also kind of like Detroit in that they're young and they're growing. They have a very good quarterback that's going to be around for a long time. It's going to be a superstar, I believe. And I think Jordan Love has a bright future. They just need to give him more tools. And they're going to have to get a deeper backfield. Aaron Jones can't do it all. On defense, they do have a little bit of a few weaknesses, linebacker and cornerback especially. But I do think the Packers will be fighting with Detroit for the next several seasons as far as for the Central. All right, let's see. Here's a question. The IEM market has become saturated, lots of stuff. I've collected a lot of IEMs that are close to each other in sound. I have a lot of IEMs under $300. I'm looking for a higher upgrade. Yeah, I mean, there's options galore. You can try pretty much all kinds of different brands. So when you say a higher upgrade, are you looking for a particular sound? You say that you have a lot of them that sound the same. Are you looking for something that's that sound, and what is that sound? Or are you looking for something completely different? And then also higher upgrade, $300, higher than $300. What's your price bracket? You know, are you looking at $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, or are you looking more like $500? So a little bit of information there. We'll try to point you in the right direction. Okay, a fuller sound in depth. What do you have currently? Would be my question, so that I can kind of compare. Any baseball followers in the chat? I am a big New York Yankee fan. I was let down badly this past season. It was really nice to see Garrett Cole win the Cy Young, but I do think that he needs a lot more support, and the team could have went a long ways if they had had more production of Carlos Rodon and some of the other pitchers. Of course, they did let a few pitchers go the season prior, but their bullpen was solid. Their hitting all just disappeared, and injuries riddled them all season. So I have hopes for the Yankees. I don't think they're going to win the East this year, but I do think they'll be back in the playoffs. Atlanta is a very strong team, and they have a great management and scout program that is rebuilding that team with one of these smaller budgets, which is incredible. I think Atlanta is an amazing team right now with lots of young players, and would love to see them back into the World Series again. I'm actually kind of a semi Atlanta Brave fan from years past. My grandfather was a huge Braves fan. My grandmother was a New York Mets fan, and my mom was a Yankees fan. That's how I became a Yankees fan. But my grandparents, my grandmother would sit in one room watching the Mets every day, and my grandfather would sit in the other room watching the Braves on TBS. And it was pretty funny. You could pick and choose whichever. And if the Braves and Mets were facing each other, you didn't go over because it was a house that nobody talked. They would get mad depending on the result. Dodgers are on my doghouse, or in the doghouse with me, just because of all the money that they spent, and they got the pitcher I wanted, my Yankees to get, and they just offered an insane dollar amount. That's just craziness. There's no way that too many teams can spend that. Sadly, I do think that the Dodgers bought themselves a championship if everything plays accordingly. Even with the pitching staff that they have, and the starting rotation and the bullpen is very solid for them. Even if they have an offense that's kind of middle of the road, they're going to win a lot of games just because they're going to be able to lock down other teams, unfortunately. And I really hate to say that, but I do think the Dodgers bought themselves at least one championship, maybe two. They're going to be tough to beat, especially come playoff time, if they stay healthy. That's going to be the question mark. A lot of those foreign players that come over don't transition into being a very deep, long length inning type of guys. They tend to be more short inning starters. But if you can transition them into getting a solid 6 or 7 innings out of them and turn them into a Garrett Cole type of just beast, look out. The Dodgers are going to be massive. But if you end up starting to have elbow and arm and shoulder issues, similar to some of the other famous players that came over from Japan in the past, then the Dodgers may have just spent too much money. So, but yeah, Braves definitely. I would love to see them take down the Dodgers again. All right, so let's see. Brewers fan. They are about to fall apart. Burns was traded. Yeah, Woodruff is out for the whole year. Oh wow, I didn't know Woodruff was out for the whole year. I did see that Burns got traded, and it depends. I mean, you guys usually have a fairly decent farm system. Maybe there will be a couple youngsters that can come up and fill that, but Corbin Burns is not easy shoes to fill. We'll put it that way. Let's see, Astros. Sorry, I don't have anything for Astros. I'm a Yankees fan. You guys tortured us too much. I'm just kidding. Friend of mine is a big Astros fan, and they're a good team. They're well coached, and unfortunately, they fell apart this year in the playoffs against the Rangers. I think it was just kind of destiny for the Rangers this year, and they just had that feeling in that series that they just weren't going to give up. And unfortunately, the Astros they didn't have the magic like they normally do. Hopefully for you guys, it's not a sign of things going down. You know, as the team is getting a little bit older, hopefully you can kind of rebuild and come back from that, because that is mentally challenging and hard as an athlete. Columbia. Hope there's a great game for you guys. Yeah, thanks. I was just collecting info because the newbie in me just wants a new headphone amp. Is there a Super Bowl soundtrack? Well, there's a halftime show. I didn't think about putting one in, truthfully. Let me think about that for a moment. All right, let's see here. Lori, I think the exorbitant salaries that are being paid to ball players is running the games. Who can afford to go to the ballpark anymore except corporations? Lost its luster in your eyes. I can kind of see that. Thankfully, in baseball, some of the teams do still offer some fairly cheap seats. But when it is cheap, you're gonna have to take some binoculars. Or don't be afraid of heights. But football wise, for sure, football has gotten to be a very expensive sport, no matter where you sit. I mean, the Super Bowl this year, you're talking prices in, like, I heard somewhere $9,000, $10,000 on average. A lot of normal people can't afford that or go into debt just to go to the game, and I don't recommend that. Sadly, the salaries are getting a little out of control, and and as a fan, I don't appreciate that, but also at the same time, as being somebody that did play a little bit back in the day, not professionally, and we don't think that, typical high school stuff. But anyways, it is a risk, and it is a lot goes into it. You spend a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of energy. It's a risk of lifetime injuries, risks of injury afterwards, lots of things that go into it. So do they deserve to be paid? Yes, but if they're going to get all of these endorsement deals, all of these advertising deals and things like that they get, then maybe they don't need as big of a salary. Because these guys are getting fairly rich, but who am I to say? I'm just a fan. I just wish that the ticket prices would come down. But they have TV now, so we all pay into that in some sort of way for the most part. Let's see, Lee. I have the Soft Ears RSV, a very good headphone. Unique Melody Mark II, which are more expensive, but looking for something with depth. Maybe the Monarch Mark III. Okay, the Monarch Mark III would be something I haven't heard. I have heard the Oracle, Clairvoyance. You could also look at the Zen's Mangird Top. You could also look at, let's see. Let me go over here to my little IEM list. And you said about $1,000 or less, so we will start from there. Yeah, the Thea Audio Clairvoyance. You have the Meze Advar, which is a totally different sound than what you currently have. It's a very hi-fi-ish type of sound, very open. You also have, as I mentioned, the Oracle 2, which would be similar-ish to the Monarch. But with that being said, I haven't heard the Monarch. I've only heard the Clairvoyance. But a lot of people say that the Oracle and Monarch are a little bit similar-ish. Sensman Top has a nice big full sound. You also have the Hype 4. It's not near as expensive as you're looking for, but the Hype 4 has a very full sound. It might be something to consider. So there's a few options to look through. Hopefully that helps you. All right, let's see here. Rick, I'm a voiceover artist. What budget IEM, less than $100 do you recommend for listening to spoken word? Anything over 100 is almost headphone territory. Yeah, totally understand that. One that's good for listening to voice. If you're going to use it for like monitoring, is that what you're thinking, or just to compare voices? Something cheap that works really well is the original Tin Hi-Fi T2. It has a very natural tonality, especially in the mids, and is not elevated in any ways. It's a very neutral sound. The T2 Mark II is a little too bright, and you lose that naturalism. It's a little bit more of a cold, sterile type of presentation, so I wouldn't recommend that one. Let's see. I don't do a whole lot of listening to just like voices on IEMs. Normally, I'm listening on speakers when I'm listening to that. But another one that would probably be pretty good with that is the Dunu Titan S and the Katori Dauntless. Those two also are a little bit more neutralish leaning. They are a little bit more forward in the mids, but they have a slightly fullness from the bass. But yeah, I would probably lean to the original T2, not the Mark II, the original T2. All right. And speaking of that, Rick, I know somebody who is a voiceover, who does voiceovers for studio for his business. He does like documentaries and stuff for his company, and he used the T2 and he loves it for that. So I would check that out. Well, yeah, the 49ers defense did get exposed a little bit by Detroit, especially in the first. And so if Kansas City plays that, as I was saying, then they might have a chance. But I think San Francisco is well enough coached to learn that. That Baltimore game, that was, in my opinion, that was a fluke. Because if you watch the 49ers, which I watched pretty much all their games during the regular season, that was by far their worst game that they played all season long. And I have no answer as to what happened in that game. They just looked outcoached and unprepared in that Baltimore game. As far as the Detroit game, Detroit came out and was determined to run the ball. And San Francisco was ready to kind of play a balanced game, kind of like what Detroit has done all season, and set it up with the pass. And Detroit took it the opposite way. Excuse me. And then, as you saw in the second half of that Detroit game, San Francisco said, okay, enough's enough. And once they shut down David Montgomery, it was over for Detroit. All right, let's see here. Sorry about that. Sinuses are acting up today. here in the Midwest, temperatures have been like all over the place. You have a 30-degree day, and then you'll have a 60-degree day, and then you have 40 degrees, and then it's 50, and then it's 60 again, then it's 30. It's been all over the place, and my sinuses are like, just like whacking out. All right, let's see. You're very welcome, Rick, for the recommendation. I hope the T2 works for you. 7 hertz Sonus, haven't heard that. That would be interesting to hear. Let's see. Adam Schneinberg. I recently got the Andromeda Ernsey. It's an amazing. I want to collect more single driver IEMs. I have a few single dynamic transducers, a Meze Advar and a Campfire Vega 2020. Got a single BA suggestion. Single BAs are rare. One of them that is cheaper, I think comes in like $120, is the Afu Magic 1. That review will be coming soon. Excuse me. And that's a single BA. As far as other single BAs, I can think of the Acoustic R100. That's a single BA. Give me a moment. Let me see here. Driver configuration, clear, 1BA. I have not heard too many of them. They are rare. In fact, I've only heard 6. Yeah, the Acoustics R110s and the Acoustic R100 are single BA. Both of those I liked. I did like the 110 slightly better. And then the others that I've heard, KB Ear Neon, which I didn't really care for, and the KB Ear F1, which I didn't really. Those two aren't worth considering anymore. They're very old. And then of course the Afu Magic 1, which review will be coming. Those are the only single BAs that I've heard. All right, very very rare single BA. I would say this, that if you're going to get a single BA or even like a 2BA, something along those lines, I would look for something that has Sonian. I would not look for something that uses Knowles or any of the other brands, unless it's a house brand like a Soft Ears. And the reason for that is Sonians have a little bit more of fullness and a more natural tone and timbre. And so they will just sound more pleasant. Whereas like Knowles and some of the others have a little bit more of a bitey edge to them, especially in the uppers, and it doesn't sound as natural in their presentation. Also, the bass is a little bit more anemic with Knowles, in my opinion, whereas Sonians have that a little bit more fullness. I prefer Sonian BAs or softer BAs. So if you're in the market for a single BA, I would be kind of looking in that direction. See if that helps you. Kinear Scold is a single BA. Interesting. Okay. The Andromeda, I have not heard that one. I've heard the original Andromeda, but I've never heard the Ern C. Campfire Vega, I haven't heard either. Advar is an interesting IEM. Emerald C. All right, gotcha. Yes, MC. I was like, I understand. The typing is, you're trying to do everything fast. Gets a little messy. I do it all the time. You know, what's really funny is I type a lot for my job, and I repeat the same thing. I type the same thing over and over and over again a lot. And I also say the same things over and over again in voicemails that I leave. And so I will find myself in random conversations with people or sending out emails, just typing out that. My brain's just like, I know you're off work and you're doing something else, but you just kind of that one word comes up and all of a sudden you're like typing the other thing or you're saying the other thing. And you're like, wait a minute, why did it just do that? Maybe I'm just weird, but hopefully somebody else has that. Let's see, Paul. I have older IEMs from Creative and they're all Arvana series and they are single BAs, but they're older and discontinued. Interesting. I never actually heard of Creative IEM. I remember they came out several years ago and people were kind of talking about them, but I haven't really heard anything about them since. One of the IEMs that I take on a trip is a triple BA. It's got Sony BAs in it, and it's actually a drop plus universal, and love that IEM, especially for trips because of the way it fits and it has a long nozzle and it just inserts and it just on airplanes, it just takes you away from the idea, hey, I'm on an airplane, and unless you look at the seat and all that kind of stuff. But as far as the noise and people and all that, you get put in your own little zone in that, and it's so comfortable. And sound wise, it's got this little warmth to it, and it's just kind of a cozy IEM with very good natural tone and timbre. I like it. It's rather old though. You can't purchase it anymore. Nothing wrong with having vintage gear. All right, let's see here. Happy Sunday to all. Cheers. Yes. Bring on to Hades. Yes, that will be coming soon. That review will. I do not want to spoil it. All right, let's see here. Lee Underwood, have you had more extended listens to the new AU headphone? The AR5000, I did a review of that. And it has been sent on to Intuit Reviews for his thoughts and opinions. So he'll have a review coming out soon on that. So yeah, there is a review of that. Do they have a different headphone? I wasn't aware if they had another one. Be very interested in that. I would love to see Ayoon tackle a planar, see what they could come up with. Good questions today. Appreciate it. Any other thoughts and opinions? We're going to go for, about an hour, maybe a little bit more, depending on how the stream goes today. I'm correct. Vintage gear is great. Yes, it is. I understand things are going to improve over time, and things are going to change and technologies are going to get better. But there's still something about some of those older products that really performed that they hold their own, and they're hard to beat in a lot of aspects. And there's reasons why some Sennheiser headphones have been made for 20 years. There's reasons why some speakers have been made for many a long time, and then there's reasons why people still listen to them even though they have other options, and it's because they just sound good and they have this connection with it. And I think a lot of things that are more vintage that I've come across and listened to over the past 20, 30 years I've been listening, the older stuff has a little bit of soul. It has this emotional connection that a lot of the newer stuff doesn't have. And it just kind of connects you with the music and just kind of puts you in that emotional state. Whereas the new stuff kind of is like chasing specs a little bit more, is chasing and it still sounds good, but it just doesn't have that soul, that emotional connection. Some stuff does, but a lot of it just kind of lacks that emotional connection. No matter what the music that you're listening to, it just seems like the newer stuff at times doesn't quite have that appeal of emotion. Let's see here. All right. Greetings from Vienna. Wow. It's got to be early in the morning for you over there. My favorite IEMs are currently the Thea Audio Monarch Mark III. Any feeling from your side between them, Mark III and Mark II? I haven't heard either of the Monarchs, unfortunately. That's the one Thea Audio that I want to hear. and I haven't been able to get my hands on one. I've got the Clairvoyance and a bunch of others, but the Monarch I have never been able to obtain. Have you used a Cayenne N3 Pro DEP? It's the one that has a tube mode in it. I have not. I've only used one Cayenne DEP, and it's one that was really old. Actually think it was called like the N3, but it didn't have the tube stuff, and it was really small, and extremely old, and it was cheap, a couple $100. It broke several years ago, and I haven't used it since. All right, let's see here. Have you heard that? Have you heard that shady, hyped up brand by several reviewers named Pula? No, I didn't. I've never even heard of it. Not sure what that is. Shady. Why do you say it's shady? I'm curious about that. What is your go-to source for IEMs and for headphones? I know you like the periodic DAC amp. Okay, so portable wise. I like the periodic audio rhodium, but it doesn't have as much power as that's needed for some of the harder demanding IEMs and headphones. But I do use it, and I do test with it. But my go-tos kind of when it comes to DACs and amps, as of late, are the Hibby FC3 and also the Hibby FC4. Now, there's a lot of other ones that I use and I really like, but those two are kind of the ones that I grab first to test things with. And then I'll kind of list to all the others. And then I also do I don't listen to just dongles. I do listen on desktop, especially with IEMs and headphones. And I'll use, it's kind of hard to see here, get my shoulder out of the way, the Mytek Liberty deck 2 and the HPA. And a bunch of other things. One that works really well with IEMs is this right here, on the little silver one that's underneath that. That's the FIO K11. Works really, really well with IEMs. All right, let's see here. I'd never sell my vintage Stax gear. It still sounds better than 90% of new gear. Yeah, Stax is one of those companies that always seems to beat the competition, and probably because electrostats are in a completely different league of their own. And so I think they're going to kind of be the ones that stand in time compared to other stuff a lot more than other gear. Even in the subtle things, when you listen to headphones and compare, or IEMs and compare, or even speakers and compare, there'll be like, oh, these have the same technology, they're both a planar, same size, same all this and that. It's very similar impedances and that type of stuff. But when you listen to them, one will have a little bit more details, a little bit better resolution, or a little bit more tone, timbre, thickness, form, that type of thing. But when you listen to an electrostat and you compare it to either other electrostats or just other headphones in general, the electrostats, especially the older ones that Stax made, really seem to have that emotional connection, which I was talking about earlier. All right, let's see. Oh, it's 8:30 p.m. in Vienna. Interesting. I would have thought it was further ahead than that. You're not that far ahead of us. Only 6 hours. Let's see. Music is like food in that it should evoke emotional reaction. Yes, absolutely. And it's not just, it's the music itself, like the artist and the song, and then it's also what's reproducing it, whether you're watching it live or if you're listening to it reproduced. There should be an emotional connection. If you don't get that emotional connection, you're not really getting the natural interactions and responses. All right, let's see here. Lori, sort of like LPs versus CDs with that harsh Japanese sound, in your opinion? Yeah, you can kind of get that connection also Totally understand that. Cheerful Soul, you're welcome. Let's see. Let's see. Chef Steve says he's got the Pula '01. Is that, or is that a Q? Can't tell. Anyways, it's very good for the dollars. Interesting. Let's see. SL says shady because it's unknown Chinese brand from Alley. Got some hype from Tone Deaf and several other guys. The brand is named Pula, and it has two models, the PA01 and the PA02. The letter is about $160, 1DD, 4BA. Wow. Interesting. I'll have to look them up. I haven't heard anything about them. I'm a little skeptical, about some brands if I've never heard of them, and if I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about them. I tend not to take a lot of chances in that, but if it's worth it, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look into them. Maybe if somebody has one and lives in the States and wants to lend one to me, reach out, send me an email. Let's see. Chef Steve, the Yoshida E20 is my new rec for dollars to performance. E20 is a good IEM. I will get a review out at some point. It's it's on the list of about 35 plus other products. Let's see. Opulent Otter, Shenzhen, and others are IEM manufacturer hotbeds. Pula is another name we may not know, but likely an OEM associated with brands you do. I just saw a lot of the Chi-Fi works. Yeah, there are a lot of the OEMs. I can't think of, BASN is one. There's a couple others in which they make certain parts of an IEM, and then they will kind of make their own, kind of to like demo. Hey, this is what our stuff should sound like, and then the other people kind of take bits and pieces of it and mix it with theirs, that type of thing. Let's see, unknown entity. Are you going to review the Sennheiser 490? Possibly. It's a little bit on the pricey side at this time. I don't have the funds for it at the moment. If I can get my hands in one, Sennheisers are hard to come by for a demo. So I am very curious about it. And I am going to Oxpona this year, so maybe I'll get to hear one there. Not sure, but we'll see. All right, let's see. Okay, so let's see, Lee. Chi-Fi floods the market. What is your favorite Chinese-made IEM? And what is your favorite American-made IEM? Okay, so Chinese. Let's see. Don't normally break them down by that. It's a good question. All right. I would say of the American-made ones. Now I'm not sure if they're 100% American made, because a lot of American companies design in America, and assemble. But anyways, it would come down to the CTM ClearTune monitor, DaVinci 10, and the Westone Mach 60 would probably be my two. As far as IEMs go, another one that you could throw in there as far as American company would be ADV M512D. Now, ADV might be one of the ones that's American with some assembly overseas. European, or excuse me, Chinese, not European, Chinese or Chi-Fi, as you call it. I'd have to go probably with the Thea Audio, Hype 4, the Soft Ear Studio 4, and the JQ4U Pro. Those would probably be my top three hi-fis. And if you want to throw a European in there, so I would probably, European-wise, go Spirit Torino Twin Impulse. As far as my favorite, European-made. Meze Advar's kind of up there too, but I would probably go Spirit Torino over that. Good question. Make me think in a different way. Okay, so let's see. DJ Brobot. I'm finally leaving the budgets to the mid-tier IEMs. What high-end IEMs do you suggest? I just mentioned a bunch. On the top of the chat, there is a link to my tier list, ranking list. I would recommend you look at that and then watch some reviews. That would probably help you on that. Okay, let's see. Chef Steve, 6:30 a.m. in Melbourne. It's going to hit 38 degrees Celsius here today, so it's going to get hot and dry. 38 Celsius. I'm trying Fahrenheit. That's going to be what? About 85, 86 Fahrenheit, I think. Somewhere there. See if my math's correct. Might be warmer. Melbourne. Cool. A city I've always wanted to visit. It's very expensive to get there. All right. Gawai and Dragon. What is the Super Bowl and what is so special about it? Super Bowl is the American football. It's the NFL, National Football League. It's the championship for it between the American Football Conference and the National Football Conference. And so the two teams play, and whoever is champion. And Super Bowl is the name of the bowl that they play at. The game is just called that. And what makes it special is it's the most expensive and the most pricey and most luxurious football game on American soil. And it's just a championship game. All right, let's see. Also, you always have a bunch of celebrities that attend. You have celebrities that, like Usher's doing a halftime show this year. And you have all kinds of crazy advertising that goes into it, like billions and millions of dollars go into it. Sennheiser 490 has the same driver as the HD 560, so why costly? Did not know that. That is an interesting question. If that is the truth, I'm not doubting it. I haven't done any research. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's see here. Thank you, Beacon. Man, there's so many that seems unfair to try to pin them down to one. I kind of took advantage. All right, let's see. Paul, you answered about the Super Bowl. Let's see. SL saw a graph of the Hades and has a huge bass. But I'm curious, does it sound dark or does it preserve details in the mids and the treble? I do not want to spoil anything about the review, which will be coming very soon. All right, let's see here. I have the Hype 4. Love the sound, but for whatever reason, they cause discomfort in one ear. I determined it's not a fitment issue. I wish they didn't. That's a bummer. Unfortunately, ears aren't always identical. And my right ear is a little bit smaller than my left, and so I do have more discomfort in my right ear. Also, the angle where my, for the ear hole canal is a little bit smaller on the right side, so I do get some discomfort in the right side every now and then. So I can understand that. Hey, Mark, happy Sunday. Have you heard any of the closeback Sennheiser headphones, and are there any that you like? I like the 280 Pro. Very cheap monitor, does a good job in that. It's a little bit on the warm side. Most closed-back Sennheisers I do not like, but I haven't heard a ton of them. I did hear the expensive 820, which is kind of an oddball. It's not awful, but it's not really anything special. I wouldn't go buy one. Um, so there's kind of like Hi-Fi Men. Sennheiser does better with open backs than they do closed backs, in my opinion. Um, oh, so 38 Celsius is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Now you're getting a little warm. That's when Dave says I'm staying inside and turning the air conditioner on. Yeah. Chef Steve says even in Australia, people take sick days to have a Super Bowl party. Interesting. Um, well, we are kind of similar in cultures. Can understand that. So, and a lot of Americans have kind of moved over, from what I understand. So, but football, with the NFL experiment of the European League, for several years, did kind of make a slight impact internationally. So maybe that's kind of why that did. Let's see. Let's see. Lee says, I participate in the Head 5 forums. Lots of unique views on IEMs. What is your way? Oh, I'm sorry. What is your view on forums as a source for the market of IEMs and headphones? Um, so I think you can get some good information out there. You can especially, learn what's upcoming. You get kind of like a preview of gear. Um, you have to keep it within reason. You have to remember people do exaggerate things. People do get a little excited. They're going to hype things. Also, depending on if you're reading consumer reviews, or you are reading kind of the more paid reviews on HeadFi and the promotional stuff, things can get hyped quite a bit. So, you just kind of have to have an open mind and remember that not opinions and reviews aren't set in stone, and that they're not like to be treated like the gospel. And use wisdom when you compare things, and take lots of notes. But I do think that it can be a helpful tool to reviews. You'll learn as you read a review of a product, especially one that you've heard, and you'll see people that review a lot of stuff consistently. Like they're always one of the ones that post reviews. Um, you'll learn their tendencies and what they prefer, and whether or not you agree or disagree with them. So it's just like a video review. You're just reading it. But do be careful. There's a lot of hype out there. Um, let's see. Do new S and S tips make most IMs more comfortable and fit better? That's true. Do new tips are good. I also like tri-Clarion tips. They tend to be very good for my ears and fit. Um, any Super Bowl prediction? I already made one up top, so if you want to, right at the beginning, I kind of did it. So if you want to scroll back later, you can get my more detailed one. But honestly, I think that San Francisco's going to win. I think San Francisco's going to win. It's going to be less than 7 points, probably 24, 21, 23, 20, 24, 18, 23, 17, something like that. It's going to be less than a touchdown, an extra point. But I do see San Francisco coming on top. Um, we have a lot of Super Bowl parties in Vienna as well, but we are on the other side of the temperature, 44 Fahrenheit, 7 degrees Celsius. Many people will not be able to work tomorrow. Um, yeah, you're at like similar temperature that we have here outside today. Is around that temperature. Let's see. Alice, what is your opinion on Flacco winning comeback player of the year over Buffalo's Hamlin that actually came back from basically a near death experience to get on the field again? I think it has more to do with Flacco actually participating and playing significantly, and making an impact for his team. I think Hamlin Hamlin didn't play very much. I'm a huge Bills fan, and I can only think of maybe 2 games that he was active. And then when he was active, he basically played special teams. Didn't really play a whole lot. So I think more than anything, I think it was because Flacco actually made an impact for the Cleveland Browns, whereas Hamlin, yes, he came back from a near-death situation, a very scary situation, but because he just didn't participate on the field, that's what did that award. Well, Beacon. I did buy the SNS. I believe we were talking about tips. Made it so I could go a little over an hour instead of 30 minutes before. I use them for work and often wear my IEMs 10 plus hours at a time. Wow. All right, let's see. Lavia Lave. I'm late. Not sure if this was asked earlier, but if you were to pick between the top and the hype, which would you choose? Kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you want a little bit more of a fun, engaging, energetic type of listen, I would go with the top. If you're looking for a little bit more neutral, leaning, a little bit warmer, fuller type of sound signature, I would go with the hype 4. AFL is the game we Aussies watch and play, and we don't use protection padding like the Americans do. You do steal all of your best kickers to use as punters, as we know how to kick a ball. That's true. And I believe that you're talking Australians rule with rugby is the AFL, I believe. Similarish. I have tried to learn rugby rules a little bit, watch it a little bit. I can sit and manage. I don't understand the scoring quite as much, but I can kind of understand it. Same thing with CFL, Canadian Football League. I do watch that as well. Curious about the new United Football League, which is a joint of the XFL and the USFL. Be interested in that. I watch football all the time. I also watch European football, watch soccer, as we call it here in the US. All right, let's see. I drive my wife nuts, always wanting to watch it, and I don't get near enough time, in my opinion, but that's okay. What kind of food do they serve in a Super Bowl? Pretty much anything goes, but you'll get your typical party foods. A lot of chicken wings, barbecue, that type of stuff. Not exactly sure what they're going to be serving at this one because it is at neutral sites. It's in Vegas, Las Vegas this year, so I don't know what goes in Las Vegas. But football is pretty much any sort of type of party and foods. All right, let's see here. Me, I'm going to be having pizza. All right, let's see. As the lead. Last question from me. I'm a longtime Dolphins fan. What will they need to do to compete with the Bills? Okay, so Dolphins have a good team. The Dolphins are a very solid team. A good friend of mine is also a Dolphins fan. And I think what they need is a little bit more of just an ability to play as a team instead of trying to do it on their own. They have a lot of playmakers and they have a lot of good players, but unfortunately, they don't always play as a whole for 60 minutes. They try to do the special play on their own. And football is a team sport. And also the other thing is you gotta stay healthy. And this year you guys had some injuries, especially going into the playoffs, that really hurt you. Losing Chubb right at the end of the season did not help at all. So I think you guys will be there. But I think it's more about playing as a team and being willing to just take a little play, little play, a little play to drive the ball instead of trying to get everything done all at once. But injuries were a big thing for you guys this year. All right. DJ Bro, glad you're talking about the Browns. Hey, I have to. One of my best friends is a Browns fan, so I actually hear a lot about the Browns. Actually, the Browns are a pretty good team. I think that you guys would have been if you had Nick Chubb all season long and had him in the playoffs, I think you guys could have won that game. It would definitely put a different tone on that game against Texans. Texans are a tough matchup. They got some very interesting pieces in place that make them dangerous. Texans are going to be good going forward. I'm curious about what the Browns are going to do quarterback wise, whether or not Watson is going to be the man going forward or if you're going to roll with DTR. I'm not sure if the Watson experiment's over. Of course, Flacco, I believe, said that he's retiring, from what I understood, but who knows? He can probably be talked back for another year. But I don't know if you really want to roll with Flacco for a whole year. Quarterback's going to be your big question mark for you guys. All right, let's see here. All right, let's see. Let's see. Cheerful Soul, most probably a silly question for Americans. What is the most famous player in American football? Tom Brady. Tom Brady is probably the more popular name of recent year. There's many greats. I mean, you can just throw out so many names. Um, every person that has an NFL team is going to throw out great names. So it's kind of, let's just say Tom Brady for now. I'll just keep it there. Um, Oh, wow. Vegan. You're going to do cheesesteaks for the main and fruit for the finger food. That sounds good and tasty. I mean, for the Super Bowl, it pretty much just goes whatever you is your party food as a household or as a group of friends. I've had people say that they bring over soups, and they do. Everybody brings their favorite soup, and you just have that. Or if other people do the barbecue, they do the chicken wings. Some people don't even eat food. But anyway, whatever. um, it's pretty much whatever you feel like eating. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Lavia, thank you so much. So I guess I'm coming from the Hexa. The hype would be the way to go. The hype would definitely be an improvement over the Hexa. You are going to get a significant increase in body and note weight, a lot better details, resolution, a better soundstage that's deeper, has better imaging, and it will be a big step up from the Hexa. It won't be as energetic as the Hexa, though. Well, I take that back. It will be more energetic than the Hexa. Sorry, I said it wrong. Hexa's, in my opinion, is a little bit boring, but a little cold and sterile as well. So I think that the Hype 4 is a significant upgrade. So my brain is trying to transition from football talk to IEM talk. It's hard to do. All right, let's see. Um, yes, Travis Kelsey is all over the news, obviously because of his relationship with Taylor Swift. Um, but truthfully, if do people really know who Travis Kelsey is, other than he's Taylor Swift's man friend? Probably not. All right, let's see. Long time, long love long a Dolphin fan here also. Okay, long time Dolphin fan. I can read. Let's see. Chef Steve like kangaroos. I like kangaroos. I think they're cute in the zoo. Let's see here. Cheerful soul. Yeah, he is. He and his brother, who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, went to my high school. Oh, that's cool. Everyone is excited for them. Yeah, that's right. Jason as the center for the Eagles, I believe. I'm not sure if he's retiring or not. Let's see. Lava, you're welcome. Need to visit Melbourne. Yeah. number one place on the bucket list. It is definitely on my bucket list. I would love to go there. Of course, it's about, I don't know, 22-hour flight or some ridiculous thing from where I live. But it'd be fun. And you lose like basically a day. Speaking of, Steve, do you know who won the Super Bowl? Oh, wait. Never mind. All right. Anyways, last questions, comments here, and start wrapping up and let you all get to the Super Bowl pregame festivities if you watch those. What is the beautiful wood tube amp behind me? That is the, let's see if I can turn the right way here. That is the Tor Audio. Whoops, I turned the wrong way. My bad. That is the Tor Audio Roger, and it's a great little amplifier. Love it. Melbourne is the sporting capital of the world. Interesting. Well, it did host the Olympics. All right, let's see. Or was that Sydney? Sydney did, sorry. But Melbourne, they played in Melbourne, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, let's see. Beacon. I'm deep in the rabbit hole now. In the last week, I got the Ica OH10, Blonde Z300, the Simga EM6L, and we'll be here today, along with the Jade Green Wannier. Wait, that's the Tanzu Wannier SG, which is that you're getting the green version? Okay, I didn't know there was a different version. I thought they were all white. And the blonde JoJo. Cool. Melbourne had the 56 Olympics. Okay. Learn something new every day. All right, so let's see. Getting back to Beacon here. OH10, I prefer the S over the 10, but they're both pretty close. To me, the S isn't quite as aggressive in its presentation. Blonde Z300, haven't heard. EM6L review will be coming. And let's see. Wannier, love it. It's a great, very neutral, natural type of presentation for a budget, friendly. And the JoJo I have not heard. EA 500 LM, that review will be coming, so I don't want to spoil a whole lot about that review, but I will say this: I like it better than the original. Are corn dogs made with corn? They're made with cornmeal. Let's see. My community blessed me with the OH10. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm sure you'll like it. It's a different type of presentation, but with the right genres of music and the right source, it can be very good. What do I eat at the football? When I go to games, I don't buy any food. It's way too expensive. But my Buffalo Bills are, several hundred miles away, so I don't really go to the games, even though they are coming to Indianapolis this year, so I might get tickets. But anyways, normally because the game's at 1:00 on Sunday, and I'm just getting back from church, it's whatever we're having for Sunday dinner that I eat. I don't do anything particular for football. Okay, so let's see, Fuzel, Fuzel, I'm sorry, Con. I already have the Food Performer 5, to which I should upgrade. That's a good question. If you want to stay in a similar price point, those are what, 180-ish? Is that what they were? I don't remember. Give me a moment. $220. Okay, so if you want to stay in the 220s, you want to stay in a similar price point, you would have the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite, which should probably be a where I would go from there. If you want to go higher in price point, you could go with the Thea Audio Hype 4. It'd probably be a similar-ish type of sound. That'd be where I would start looking. All right, let's see. Let's see, Beacon, about the OH10. Okay, so you like it a lot. You listen to a lot of hip hop, and it does surprisingly well in gaming. Yes, it is good for gaming because of the soundstage and imaging capabilities. Hip hop would be a very good genre for the OH10. It doesn't really do, in my opinion, very well with like jazz and classical music or acoustical music. It does better with like modern rock. And like prog rock, that type of stuff, and also hip hop. It does very well. EDM, it would probably do pretty well as well. Not so much with like country music. Some of the more like classical rock or a little bit older rock, 2000s, 90s rock, things like that, it's not going to do quite as well. Let's see. You love the EM6L? Alice says. We will wait for the review, and I don't want to spoil anything. Let's see. Also, let's see. Chef Steve says for the Super Bowl or for football, Aussies eat meat pies. Over 100,000 are sold at the AFL Grand Final here. Holy cow! It's a lot. That's a lot of pies. Wowzers. Let's see. Beacon. I was not really wowed by the sound of the Foo 5. It looks great. Sounds good. I also have the orchestra light. It definitely wowed me over the P5. Yeah, there is the P5 has a kind of a more chill, a kind of just a type of presentation. It doesn't have that real dynamic connection at times. You're very welcome there, Fuzul Khan Azmi. You're very welcome. Apologize if I butchered anybody's names. I tried, but it's not my specialty being able to read names. I've never been good at that. And don't ask me to remember your name. I'm probably not going to remember it either. I'm terrible at that. But anyways, I am going to start wrapping up this live stream. I do appreciate everybody swinging by, and I hope you have an enjoyable time. If you're watching the Super Bowl, spending it with friends, family, yourself, or wherever, watching the game. Hopefully it's a good game to enjoy. Enjoy the halftime show if you are just watching it for that. And, of course, if you only caught part of the live stream, you can watch the replay and catch the other parts later on after it posts. It should be up in a few hours. And if you're not watching the game, have fun listening to music and doing whatever you need to if you're going to work or whatever. So do appreciate that. And Beacon, you're very welcome for all. He says, thanks for all you do to the community and your approach. I definitely think you are a hype guy. You think I'm a hype guy? Hopefully a hype 4 guy. I try not to hype things. You're very welcome, everybody. Thank you for swinging by. Appreciate it. And we'll do another live stream sometime soon. I'm not exactly sure when. And going forward, just so you all know, we will be using a microphone and the new phone. And hopefully we will not have issues like we have experienced for the last several months. So, anywho, a video about that will be coming out soon. And thank you, everybody, for all that you do, showing up, and the laughs and the questions and the conversations about football and all that stuff. You all rock. And you have yourself a great day. Excuse my finger.